What's good, y'all? It's your boy Kendall back with another video. This video, as you've seen in the title, I am going to talk about the truth with leasing. I'm not in a truck today. I'm actually in my car. So I get a lot of questions about leasing and how much did I put down. I cover some of that stuff, like when I went over the SFI process, like how I got my truck and all that stuff. But a lot more questions that I get now is more so like, is it worth it? Like, to me, it's a vague question. It's kind of hard to answer it because everybody's situation is different. So what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So as far as like what I need financially may be different for what you need financially. So when I talk to new drivers and stuff like that, or even old drivers but that want to get into leasing, one of the things I ask first is location. Where you live at plays a role in the type of income you're gonna make. Also, I ask, how often do you like to go home? That's gonna play a role in it, because a lease, you're paying this payment weekly. So there's not no monthly payment like when you go to the dealership. This payment comes out weekly. So my weekly payment is $13.20. That's for everything, for the truck. Insurances, no, with insurances $1,500. So plus the truck payment. So keep that in mind. That $1,500 is coming out every week, whether that truck moves or don't move. So that's something you want to keep in the back of your mind. Like, I really have to, that's $6,000 a month, realistically. And that's something, that's not a little bit of money. So like, when you go into wanting to make this decision, keep that in mind. That before any profit comes to you, $6,000 goes to that truck. Obviously the truck is your business, you know, but that is a lot of money. So a lot of people get hung up on the money aspect of leasing. You know, they're like, oh, you know, I'll make more money as a lease operator than I'm gonna make it when I'm a company driver. It's true. That is very, very true. You will make more money, but with more money comes more responsibilities. So if you're a company driver, you know, you're not paying for fuel. You don't care about none of that stuff like that. Truck breaks down, they gonna fix it. You know, they'll put you in a hotel, whatever. You're not paying for anything. You probably get breakdown paid, all that stuff. As an IC, you're not getting none of that. You're a 1099, so you gotta keep up with your taxes. Get you an accountant, a good accountant that's gonna keep tabs on everything that you get done. So with fuel, you're gonna pay for fuel. That truck breaks down, you're gonna pay for the breakdowns. I mean, you do have a maintenance account. If you have a SFI truck, you do have a maintenance account, but it's gonna take you a while to build up that account anyway. So if something major happens, you probably won't have that money in that account for a while. So you gotta keep that in mind too, to put money to the side to cover that stuff. I mean, people use their maintenance account differently. I personally, I don't use my maintenance account at all. It's literally just sat there since I've been here. So anything I've paid for my truck, I've paid out of pocket. So people do things differently. You do it how you see fit for you. But that's one of the main things that people get hung up on, is the money, you know. So yeah, you can make a lot of money, but keep in mind, you can lose a lot of money as well. So that truck breaks down, or you know, you get sick, you out of work, you fall behind. Because like when I went on vacation, I took a week off. I missed 1 week of no truck payment. I mean, of the truck payment. It took me 2 weeks to get called back up to get out of that. So that's things you gotta keep in mind when y'all want to jump into leasing. It's good and it's bad at the same time, so keep that in mind. Also, if you get a truck from SFI, new trucks, they come with new everything, warranties, all the bells and whistles, all that good stuff. The used trucks, from what I've seen, my brother got a used truck. When he got his used truck, it came with retread tires. If you're not familiar with retread tires, those tires, they put them on, and basically that's like a cheaper route versus, you're better off getting a used tire versus a retread tire. They're not gonna last you that long. So with my brother, he got his truck January. So far, he's replaced 3 or 4 of those retreads already. They're gonna blow. They're not meant for long term, but that's what they're giving you. So say for instance, you're a new driver, you go get a used truck and you don't have any money saved up, and let's say 2 weeks tops, a tire blows, boom. Now you're like, damn, how am I gonna afford another tire? I don't have the money, you know what I'm saying? So it's like things you gotta keep in mind when you get these trucks. So I don't know if they tell people that they use retreads when it comes to getting used trucks. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if that's the case for every truck, but my brother did get a 2022 truck and it had retreads on it. So, and all of them are retreads. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the process for all used trucks, but if it is, that's something you want to keep in mind, to have money to be able to cover that in case you do blow a tire, because tires are not cheap. They are not at all. So a lot of people ask me, how much money did I start with? When I started leasing, when I decided to come to SFI, I had a little over 10 grand saved. My deposit was $2,500. I had a little over 10 grand after that. So I say like a good cushion probably is like around 5 grand. It's probably like a good cushion for you to have, because with 5 grand, that pretty much, I mean, if you know you blow a tire or anything, okay, you got the money for that. Truck need to be towed or anything, you got the money for that. All the main things are going to be covered under warranty, but if you have to get it towed, depending on how far you are from wherever you're trying to get it, that could be a couple $1,000s or a couple $100, you know. So I say like a good cushion is at least 5 grand is a good number to start out with. So also, before you go lease, get an EIN number and an LLC. Do that. Do it yourself. These companies, they charge you all this money to do an EIN and an LLC. For one, the EIN number is free. So don't let people tell you it's not. It's free. LLC, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it varies state by state. I live in Florida. For me to get my LLC was like $120, $140, something like that, and you gotta renew it every year. So do that, because I know when I was at Prime, they charged like $500 to set up your LLC and EIN number, when you can do it yourself for $120, $140, whatever it was. So just save yourself some money, just do things yourself, because you're gonna need all the extra money you can save in the end. So another thing with leasing is the fuel cost. As a company driver, you don't have to worry about that. So they tell you where to go, you put fuel in and you keep it moving. Plain and simple, you know. As a lease operator, you gotta hold yourself accountable. You can't just go here because, you know, it's the nearest exit, you know, and they got diesel. That stop may be $4 versus driving 30 more miles down the street where diesel is $3.50. So that's things you gotta keep in mind. Get you some fuel apps so you can see what the fuel prices is, and get you some fuel cards, because that'll save you with leasing, man. The truck and the fuel is the 2 highest payments you're making. So if you can cut costs wherever you can, try to do that as much as y'all can. So A lot of people ask me minimum numbers, like where I try to be at with leasing. So with me, my minimum a week gross is 5,000. That's the number I aim for. With for me, I tend to lean more towards 6,000 gross, because I know after fuel, after the truck payment, insurance, everything, I should still have at least, normally when I gross, like I used last week for instance, I grossed 62. I think it was 62, something like that. I grossed 6,200 and my paycheck was 3,600. So like that's perfect for me. I honestly don't want to be over the road for less than $2,500 a week. To me, it's really not worth it. I mean, obviously you're gonna have your weeks where you don't make that money, but those weeks where you make, like that week last week I made 3,600, it'll offset those lower weeks. So that's the number I aim for, is $5,000 gross weekly. And normally I tend to see half of that. It varies fuel, it varies by area, because I mean I may run 5,000 gross last week and then $5,000 next week, but my check may be bigger next week than it was last week because the fuel was cheaper in this area versus this area. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is the fuel. And just set a number. Like if you want to reach 5,000, then aim for that number and run it how you run it till you achieve that number. So when it comes to mega carriers that do lease purchases and leases, some of them do. Like when I worked at Prime, I did leasing. I did a lease over there. It wasn't a lease purchase, it was just a lease. So obviously I did that over at Prime to get the experience, to learn how to lease, because I've only been a company driver for 6 months my whole trucking career, and most of that was just training. So jumping into leasing, there's things that I wanted to learn. So a lot of my learning came from trial and error. So if you got somebody that can teach you the ropes, man, learn as much as you can. Don't just see like, man, I'm a company driver, this person a lease, they making all this money, man. And a lot of people see me on YouTube and they think like you make it look easy. It's not that I make it look easy, it's I'm used to doing it. I've done a lease. This is not my first lease. I know how to manage money. I know how to run the load board now. So like all these things now, I make it look easy, but it's all a learning curve. So you got to keep that in mind when you first go on leasing too. If you've never been leased, all this stuff gonna be new to you, like trying to figure out how much fuel to put in. What I was always told with calculating fuel is take the amount of miles you're driving and divide it by 7. So if you're driving 350 miles, you divide it by 7. So that's the amount of gallons of fuel that you put. So for me, that's something I've always went by. Even though my MPG is normally like 8 or better, I still go by 7. I mean, if you know your MPG is higher, then you can use that number, but that's how I was taught. So I always use 7. I go off of that number. Sometimes I put a little more because of traffic, construction, accidents, whatever. You want to have that fuel, and that's what I was told, to how to calculate fuel when I became a lease operator. So it's worked for me. I mean, I've been leasing for years and it's always worked for me. I've never ran out of fuel. I've come close a couple times, but that's because I was undercutting, and that's what it led up to. So the big question that a lot of people ask me is leasing worth it? Yes and no. It comes down to how are you set up financially. Is leasing good? Yeah, I mean, you can make crazy money doing a lease. But at the same time, if you are leasing or if you're wanting to go lease, but you have capital, you know, you have money up front coming in and you have good credit, you could go get a truck somewhere else, to be honest. Like, yeah, getting a brand new truck is cool, you know, but you can get a used truck and pay monthly versus weekly, which is what I would prefer. So like when I got my SFI truck, for me, it was, well, originally I was supposed to buy a truck from Prime, but at the time, that's when truck prices was crazy high. 90 something K. Like for my last truck that I had at Prime, they wanted $93,000 for it. It had 400,000 miles. I wasn't doing it, so that's why I went the lease route, because I wanted to wait till the truck market dropped. Well, now the market is dropping because a lot of people are getting out of trucking. So these same trucks that were once 90, 100,000 are going for 60, 70,000. So you get a truck, if you can afford 10% down, most places is 10% down. I mean, I know some of them charge more depending on the place, but if you could get at least 10% down, which you get a $60,000 truck, that's $6,000. You put down $6,000, your monthly payment is probably like $1,500. I pay $1,500 a week. You're gonna pay $1,500 a month. So if you can go that route, I suggest going that route. Why? Because it also saves you a lot down the road. So with having this $6,000 a month that comes out for my truck, with having this $6,000 that comes out a month for my truck, now I can use, now if I have like a monthly payment, I'm only spending $1,500, so I can stay home a lot more because I'm not worried about, I don't have to work as hard, should I say. I don't have to work as hard because I don't got $6,000 I gotta worry about every month. I only got $1,500. $1,500, we all know, that's a load, a couple of loads. So that's a lot easier to achieve. Insurances is like $200 so a week. So that is a lot easier to achieve. Even if you want to break the $1,500 up in 4 payments and pay it like that, still way cheaper. So I feel like that's something, if you can do it, go that route. Like you can be home more, you don't have to worry about working so hard. Like that's the wave that I'm leaning toward, because yeah, I'm home every weekend, but being home every weekend when you got a family and stuff, like that's cool, but you're missing a lot of time out here. Obviously, we know what we sign up for when we get into trucking. We know we're gonna miss a lot of birthdays, holidays, all that stuff. That's expected, but I feel like you see the most profit when you actually become an owner operator. So you get this truck for $60K, because my lease truck is $6,000 a month, but at the end of that lease, by the time you do all the numbers on it, if you go 4 years with that truck, you paying like almost $260,000 for a truck, which is crazy. I mean, yeah, it's brand new, but by the time you pay it off after 4 years, that truck is gonna have like 400,000 or 500,000 miles on it. So for that, you could just buy a used truck with the same amount of miles and way less of a payment. So it just depends financially how you come into the game, but it could be worth it as well. You know, if you don't have the income up front, I mean, I put $2,500 down on my truck at Prime when I was there. You don't put any money down to do a regular lease, but to go lease purchase, I believe over there it used to be $14,000 down to go lease purchase at Prime. I'm not sure if the numbers are still the same. That's when I worked over there last year. So $2,500 versus $14,000, it's a big difference. But Prime trucks do come with a lot more than Snyder trucks do. So that's something to keep in mind. If you don't have the money, like a high amount of money saved up, I mean, I feel like you can come up with $2,500 a lot faster than than 6,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if you got the time, if you running local or you're a company driver and you got the time to save up, just save up, fix your credit, and go that route. Go to a dealership, get you a truck. But if not, if you don't have the time, you know, and you just want to get you a truck, get you an SFI truck. They're not bad. I haven't had any problems with SFI at all, and I've been here for what, 7 months now. So all in all, leasing is worth it. It's a good start. I would say that for sure. It's definitely a good start to anybody trying to get into the trucking game. Get into the game, learn as much as you can. I mean, if you can find somebody that can teach you, learn as much as you can. Learn the areas, learn everything, because all that's going to factor into the amount of money that you make and how successful you are when it comes to leasing, because that's the biggest thing is learning. Like, a lot of people, they see the money aspect of it, but it's deeper than the money aspect of it, because it can make you a lot of money, but like I said before, it could lose you a lot of money too. So I've seen a lot of people turning in their trucks lately, and it's sad to see that people are turning in their trucks. So that's why I say, like, you have to know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of people don't know anything about leasing. They just jump into it. They don't know nothing. They go on YouTube, they see lease operators making way more money than they are as a company driver, and they jump into it. And now they've jumped into it, they've made this commitment to do this lease, and then they realize a lot of this stuff they don't know. The stuff they teach you in orientation, I mean, it's gonna give you a little insight, but it's not how it really is out here. So like, a lot of this stuff you're gonna have to learn on your own. So, or know somebody that's already done a lease or is leasing, to ask them a bunch of questions, pick their brains as much as you can. So I just wanted to share that information, because I get asked about leasing all the time, and do I think it's worth it? It's worth it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. But if, like I said, if you can go another route, if you got the credit, got the income, do that. But if not, do you a lease. If you want to be in it long term, be in it long term. If you go SFI route, it's $6,000 when you turn the truck in. When I was at Prime, it was a walkaway lease over there. I'm not sure what they charge when you turn the truck in. Like when my brother left, I think it was like a couple $100, maybe $1,000, something like that. I remember when I first left Prime with my first truck, they charged me like $4 grand when I left. So it varies, I guess, on the condition and all that stuff of the truck. So it just varies. But the little video, man, I just wanted to share what I think about trucking, well, leasing, so to say. And is it worth going leasing, or is it better to just go to dealership? There's pros and cons in both. Pick what works best for you. Keep that in mind, man. That's a big thing too. Keep that in mind. What works for you, not what works for me. You see me doing lease, and like, man, I'm gonna go do lease because he's doing lease, he making all this money, and then you come here and then it don't work out for you like that, and then you like, damn, like, now I'm at a point where I got to turn in my truck and this, that, and the third. I see it, I hear it. It's just, you got to do what's best for you. Do your research, do your due diligence, because that's what's going to play a major role in your deciding factor when you come out here. So, and I get a lot of people, they email me, they ask me questions. If you know, if you email me, if you talk to me, you know, I'll put you on game as much as I can. I'll tell you the real. I don't hide anything. I don't sugarcoat it. I don't know none of y'all, so I don't pick up the camera to make it seem like something's better than what it is. I keep it real, because I don't want people jumping out here into a lease, making that commitment and being like, damn, I seen this man doing it, I thought it was gonna be easy, and now I'm out here and I'm struggling, I can barely make it, man. So keep that stuff in mind, man. What works best for you. So, but I appreciate y'all for watching. I want y'all to like, comment, subscribe, turn on my post notifications. And if y'all have any questions, comment down below, send me an email or hit me up on Instagram. And I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace.